Meeting tonight to order and have a roll call. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Akery?
Yes.
Ms. Roundtree? No. Chairman Rosie?
Yes. Bobby?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, we have Ms. Roundtree on the telephone. She has indicated that she is unable to appear tonight due to a medical reason, a family medical reason, which is allowed per your bylaws. We will need, Ms. Roundtree, can you confirm that you are desiring to appear because you're unable to appear due to a medical condition? Is that correct?
That's correct.
And where are you appearing from?
Roanoke, Virginia.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chairman, that does meet the requirements of the statute and your bylaws, but you will need to take a vote for the quorum that, because we have a physical quorum here present, this would be allowed, but we will need a motion to allow her to appear remotely.
Okay, we have a motion. Okay. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Akery?
Yes.
Chairman Rosie?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Roundtree, you're part of the meeting now.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, with that, Mr. Akery, I believe you have the invocation tonight.
Yes, and before I ask, Captain Potter has been willing to, he said he would come up and lead us on the invocation for this evening. I just want to take a moment just to think on behalf of the board to say that we keep the Phelps family in our prayers and thoughts and prayers after the tragic loss of one of our beloved teachers last night in an automobile accident. None of us want to even try to understand the type of pain they're in, but I hope they know that their community supports them and loves the family. And with that, I'd ask Captain Potter if he would come forward, sir.
Let's pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight on behalf of the citizens of Isle of Wight County. Father, we pray for guidance and wisdom for this board as they make decisions that affect the citizens of this county. Father, I pray, God, that your hand would rest upon each and every one of them and their families. God, bless them for the sacrifices they make to serve. Father, it's not an easy job to sit in those seats and make the decisions that they make. But Father, again, I pray that your blessings will be upon them. Father, we want to especially pray for our school family tonight, Father, at the loss of Kristen Phelps and her husband Travis and their daughters, Father, and even the extended family to our south in the city of Franklin, Father. It was a loss of a woman who served for over 20 years in our school system, Father, and we pray that you would bring that family comfort, that you would wrap your loving arms around them in this time of need, Father. And God, we also pray a special prayer for the first responders that responded to that accident yesterday and all of our first responders throughout the county. God, bless them and strengthen them, Father. And God, in all these things we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir.
Do anybody have any amendments or changes to the agenda?
Yes, I just want to add just a brief discussion on the Commission of Adults with Disabilities and the need to attempt to get their bylaws on our agenda for the next meeting. I don't know that there's going to be a lot of discussion, but if we could just put that there.
Where would we like to put
We'll
that?
put that under new business.
would be fine, if you don't mind.
Okay,
See.
all right.
That's it. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the agenda with the amendment.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Akery?
Yes.
Chairman Rosie?
And Ms. Roundtree now.
Ms. Roundtree?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so moved. All right, we now have the County Administrator's Report before us.
Sir, first up is Mr. Gwaltney is going to come discuss the personal property tax rate and the process for setting that tax rate and the discount for the going forward for this year.
Thank you, members of the board. We generate the personal property tax bills the last part of March. And what we're asking is that the board go ahead, as we did last year, adopt the personal property rate early. Then you come back in your May and June timeframe to adopt your real estate rate. Recommendation that we have this year is that the car tax relief percentage remain the same at 33%, and that the personal property rate remain at the $4.50 rate. Glad to answer any questions at this time.
And there will be a public hearing scheduled for the 20th, your next regular meeting. It's on the agenda for the public hearing for that. We just wanted to give as much advanced notice as we could.
Okay. Any comments from the board members or questions?
Well, we're just trying to maintain, we're not doing
Right.
an increase, so.
That is the intention.
So are there, we've talked about this on other tax revenues, I guess is the best way to qualify it, programs that outside of, I mean, we set the rate obviously based on values, et cetera, but are there programs that affect counties, I guess, revenue or bottom line that is directed towards, I know we talk about real estate taxes, but when it comes to personal property, are there, and I think we qualified some of them as unfunded mandates. Are there any
Right.
that are included in this?
There are disabled veterans receive one vehicle per year. We have approximately 800 and some vehicles that are exempted through that program, and the estimated tax was about $650,000 last year in personal property revenue. And that was, again, mandated by the Commonwealth of Virginia.
So that's $650,000 worth of revenue that you don't realize just because we're trying to take care of our veterans.
Correct.
But that's the only program that's similar to that. Okay.
Okay.
And in addition to that, you also exempt one motor vehicle registration fee per year for the disabled veteran as well.
Ms. Roundtree, do you have any thoughts?
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you, sir.
Sure. Next, Stephanie Hunt Wells would like to come just give a brief quarterly update about our financial situation, and we're, of course, working through the budget right now, but we're also mindful of our progress on our FY25 budget at the same time, so.
Good evening. I try to come quarterly, as you all know, to not only remind you, but also the public about how to access our monthly financial reports. On our main homepage, under departments, our budget and finance, there's a few quick links here. If you go to adopted budget, that's our budget book. If you go to budgets, I'm gonna skip down to county checkbook, that's our monthly revenues and expenses. But if you click on budgets and reports, there's a little bit more information that I've provided here. You can still get to the county checkbook here. I also provided the budget book link here. I've added a fund balance projection link here, so if you click that, it comes up to our currently projected fund balance. And then under budget development, the first annual budget process, there's a little bit of reading here that you can do on our annual budget process, so feel free to access that. Also I've provided a budget calendar for the fiscal year 25-26 budget. A couple important things is our budget will be made available online around the time that we provide it to the board. It's statutorily required that we provide you with a budget by April 1st, and Mr. Keaton will do his county administrator's proposed budget presentation at the meeting on April 3rd. Public comment will be on April 17th at this public hearing for the proposed budget. So going back to the other important information that I wanted to remind you about, which is the year-to-date revenues and expenses, you can click here, or again, that quick link at the top. Here's our FY25 budget report. What's nice about this is we have the original budget, we have our amended budget, and then we have actual expenditures. So you can see here, don't be concerned about this negative 690,000. What we had tried to do was make the automatic rollovers, which is the majority of the difference between this original budget and this amended budget. Things like the capital projects that are already in the works, that becomes part of the amended budget. Those rollovers, commitments, they're approved in the budget ordinance. So I was trying to make it automatically appear here, but the system didn't like it. So that's why it looks like the budget's out of balance, but it's not. The amended budget, it accepted as it is. So you can see that amended budget there. And then you can see here our actual spending. We have 86 million in revenues. Keep in mind, we had a $7 million bond issue, so that's part of that. And it looks like we're $5 million to the good. This is all of the county funds. Over here on the left-hand side, you can get into a little more detail and a little more things that you can play around with. This is, again, all of our funds. You can do just revenues, you can do just expenses. This revenues and expenses here is this little click right here. It just comes right back to that information. And then a lot of people want to look at just general fund, so you can click on that there. If you want to play around some more, get deeper into it, you can click over here on this left-hand side, and there's all kinds of things here. You could look at just the governmental funds, you could look at our proprietary funds, things like public utilities, and all of these other special types of funds. So feel free to come here and peruse to your pleasure, and let me know if you have any questions. Does anybody have any questions?
No, it's not.
All right.
Ms. Roundtree, any questions?
I'm good at this time.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we had Ms. Roundtree requested a discussion about it, possible amendments to the county's noise ordinance. Ms. Roundtree, did you still want to pursue that tonight, or do you have your information available?
Yes, sir. If Attorney Jones could kind of cover the history of the red line version that you have before you, something that Supervisor McCarty and he worked on quite some time ago. I think maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. It was before I was on the board. And I've been contacted by many citizens in the county about, high density residential areas and problems with noise, specifically in Ben's Grant. And I thought that it was appropriate that we bring this up. And again, not for any action tonight, but again, Attorney Jones can walk you through it. But I wanted to get it in front of you guys and start talking about it again, because I think some kind of outline of noise ordinance and giving our sheriff's department the guidelines and leeway to address it for our citizens would be appropriate.
All right. Yes, in your packet, you will see a redlined version of our current noise ordinance that I worked with Mr. McCarty back in, I think this was 2002 when we first started working on it, and it was a slow process because I'd revise it, he'd look at it, he'd revise it, I'd look at it, and it went back and forth, and we ultimately ended up with this. Without going into all the detail about what is prohibited or not prohibited, what we attempted to do was we wanted to avoid having a noise ordinance that talked about decibel levels, where the sheriff's department doesn't have decibel meters, and we have to do that. We also tried to get away from anything that had to do with distances. We were saying that if you could hear the noise from 150 feet away from its source, well, one of the complaints that came up was a noise was across a pond or a lake. Is the sheriff going to get in a canoe with a tape measure to figure out, is it 150 feet? Where is the property line compared to what it is? And so what we ended up coming up with was really just a version that says if you're inside your home, and so if you're in a single-family home out in the country, the noise is going to have to be really loud from your neighbor that's on another 10-acre tract. But if you're in Ben's Grant or Eagle Harbor where the homes are closer together, the noise ordinance didn't have to be changed. It was just, if you're in your home with your windows and doors shut and a police officer can hear the music inside your home, that music's too loud from your neighbor. And the question became, is it too loud after midnight? Ms. Roundtree suggested perhaps maybe 10 o'clock is a different, do you do it different times on Friday and Saturday nights compared to, because if you're in your home, it's annoying whether it's the weekend or not. But all these things are what we need to discuss as a board, and this would require a public hearing and get input from the citizens. But that was what we were attempting to do, was make something that was objective as opposed to subjective. A deputy goes out, he doesn't have to figure out where a property line is, where it is. Is it 65 decibels? Is it 85 decibels? It's just, again, we have all been in a car at a stoplight when your rear view mirror begins to vibrate because of a car in another lane. Well, that's an easy one. If that's happening and the deputy hears that, that could be the violation, not some subjective determination. And so that is really what we were looking at. It is not in this. Ms. Roundtree suggested it because the town of Smithfield had it in theirs, which was also a prohibition for contractors to start working. We have lawn and trash pickup and things of that nature, but perhaps contractors not working before a certain time. Again, that is a discussion to have. What is too early? In the summer, I know roofers want to get out there before it gets hot, so you have to take that into account. Mr. Jefferson, with the lawn business, if in the summer you want to get started before it gets hot. So, I mean, those are all considerations that have to come into play. And I said, this came up when Mr. McCarty and I were talking about it, but it never made it to a public hearing item. It just never progressed. It just sat there. So anyway, Ms. Roundtree got some complaints out of Ben's Grant, and we discussed it some. I have not, this is Mr. McCarty's and my version that we worked up. It's subject to change. As I've said many times, I take no ownership of this. If you want to make 100% changes, that doesn't matter, but it's just a starting point.
So
Go ahead.
as I dust off this brain cell and go back to when we were discussing this before, I remember the Sheriff's Department talking about meters and the subjective part of it, as you just mentioned. I get it, what we're trying to do for our citizens. I guess from a law enforcement perspective, I don't remember the conversation as to what tools they need to do their job. I just remember the discussion about the meters and calibration, et cetera. But sometimes you go to the experts that do it all the time to say, this is what I need, this is what would be nice to improve quality of life in our community. I don't know if it's pretty easy, or, I guess the point is there are subject experts. To me, that would be another good place to start, to say, as a law enforcement officer, what do you need, or what would you like to see in an ordinance? And that might, I think we did some of that to begin with. Do you remember, Bobby?
We did. We reached out to the Sheriff's Department. But I think it just kind of fell by the wayside, but not because of any one person. I think it just fell. We had Mr. Captain Potter here. I don't know that he's on the position to do it, but I think he can certainly say, I can send this to him tomorrow, and he can disseminate it to the people that would like to look at it.
So the sheriff and I actually read the draft ordinance that's proposed in the packet tonight. We read over, our biggest concerns in the past was we felt like that our deputies' hands were tied, that either you had to have a decibel meter to be able to record to break that threshold, and even the distance, as Mr. Jones spoke, that sometimes it's where we would get into situations where you had to be so many feet, and the deputy would say, well, I stopped my vehicle here, and in his estimation, he was outside of that. But then we felt there were situations when you went into court then you'd have someone that actually pinpoint it. Well, my radio was at this location and you were this location, so I was within a certain distance. And so removing some of those boundaries in the language in the ordinance definitely makes our job a lot easier. The sheriff and I did have one little concern that I can talk with Mr. Jones or the board about when we get into really kind of into the weeds of the draft ordinance. But other than that, we read it today and we were both comfortable with most of the language that was in here.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
And I mean, this, I don't know. But I could be in my bedroom and somebody across the street would have a truck that's you know, revved up or whatever. I could hear that noise in my house. So now, is that a noise ordinance violation?
The way it is now, if they're within, depends on where that truck's at. And then the other thing is too, is when the deputy gets there, do we hear it? So in order for us to do something, we're going to have to hear the noise. If you hear it, then you could come and speak and take out a magistrate summons for violation of a county ordinance. But a lot of the times what happens is by the time our deputies get there, then there's no noise violation for us to observe. One of the concerns that we had, the minor concern with this was that so many of our new developments are townhouses, 2 stories, may have an attached garage or a garage below, and our thing was if someone's in their garage with the garage door up, playing music, they work shift work, they're an insomniac, they get up and they go sit in the garage, the way the language says is across the property lines of another. So is it so loud, but if I'm in the garage listening to it and some of our houses are so close together, the person right next door, it says within their confined residence or across the property lines. And so if we get into that, how loud really is it? Because if you're in the garage, it might not be that loud, but you step outside and you can hear it across. And so that's some of the debate that we think the board needs to have. And that was really our only concern that we saw with this draft.
So this is mainly concerning music, probably music being played, but at the same time, if you got people out there shooting guns and I could hear that in my house, that's a
There's
violation.
some language, I think there's some language in here that,
It is?
that
Because-
provides some exception to that.
I thought I missed this. Was this put in late? This, was this put
What,
in
on the
late?
agenda?
Yeah, this article here. I don't know how I missed it.
So I'll tell you that, and I didn't get a chance to pull, I knew this was going to be an agenda tonight. I was going to pull our stats to see just how many noise complaints we've responded to over the last 6 months and also the last year. I didn't get a chance to do those today. I do know we dealt with a while back a logging company or two that was starting way early in the morning, and we got some complaints from those residents about the loggers out there starting the equipment and starting the chippers prior to 7 a.m. And so we went out there and dealt with that, and we're able to deal with that, I think, pretty much within the confines of what's existing county ordinance about them starting. But I think this is a good start. The sheriff, like I said, we both read it today, and I do think we're at a good starting point to have more further discussion on this ordinance.
So it's going to take some time to dig back into it. Like I said, to get back where we were when we kind of dropped it or it fell to the wayside. I guess a question that I have, and not that it matters that much, but it's just a question, is the board in a position where an ordinance would be different than a DSD compared to the rest of the county?
We can do that.
Because of the density, and because we tell people that live in DSDs, that's part of the growth plan for our county. The higher density is how we're preserving that country quality of life, et cetera. And it seems, I don't know the numbers, maybe we can get statistics, if the majority of the complaints are in DSDs, and I'm not saying we don't address the whole county, but maybe we focus a little bit more on the DSDs.
You could-
That allows for the farmer or the, I don't know, the Miss Roundtree and her friends that are at the farm doing a little shooting, not really bothering anybody, compared to me with firecrackers, I don't know, in the Newport district.
You can certainly make different regulations based on the DSD or certain zoning districts. You could do it that way. The concern with just saying the DSD has farms in it. The DSD has large industrial
Right.
items as well. So we would need to be able to, when we do it, to try to avoid that unintended consequence where you say the DSD, this is prohibited, and the next thing you know, you've got a by right,
Like, put my elbow back into place.
I think it's, a by right operation, Ms. Ring can correct me, but I think the Isle of Wight industrial part is part of the DSD.
Well, you could dissect it again
Right,
by
that's-
private / property owner and commercial.
That's what I'm saying.
So
We
if I'm
just
the
need to
logging
be,
company, that's a little different than if you're cutting a tree on your front yard.
right, I said we just need to be careful in this, and this is not, as I said, this is a start. I mean, I think it's a good start because it addresses some of the things that we know are wrong with that are problematic with our noise ordinance by the sheriff's department. Like you said, you had somebody that, there's noise coming through woods. Are you 150 feet? They're gonna have to tromp through the woods to try to figure that out. So I think it's a good start. But again, I think this is a work session item in the future to really try to hash out what the solution is.
Needs to be unpacked, right? So-
Yeah,
Yes.
I think we're not really prepared to get into a full discussion tonight, but some of those things or other questions, you might want to send them in for topics so that we all know what we're going to be discussing. It'll help us move along, because this can be a very subjective topic.
If I may, Chairman Rosie?
Sure.
So, yes, very specifically, I had intended that we consider this kind of ordinance by zoning type or category to protect our citizens that are in those higher density areas. That's where I've gotten complaints from. Additionally, I know the Sheriff's Department does a great job, helping and aiding and assisting our citizens. But the way the noise violations or ordinance goes right now, they have to wait till 12:01 in the morning. And that's what I heard from several mothers of children. I believe this ordinance would move that timeline up in those zoned areas to 10 p.m. From midnight, because at this point, there's not much that the sheriff's deputies can do until it's after 12 o'clock, and if it's during the middle of the week. That was the concern that moms had about kids and getting to bed.
Will we have to come up with what noise level will be acceptable?
Well, again, that is what we need to decide. I mean,
Right.
if you want to go with, using decibels is a perfectly valid way to do it, but then we're going to have Mr. Keaton budget in to the sheriff's budget decibel meters and the maintenance of those and calibration and all of that. So it really needs to just be, and if you look at the Smithfield zoning ordinance, it has language that is problematic because it talks about something to the nature of it interferes with the reasonable repose of a ordinary person, which is so subjective that it's unconstitutionally vague. So it needs to be something that's an objective standard. Again, across property lines, which is language that Mr. McCarty pulled in, may not be the right language. But inside your home, if you're inside your house and the officer can hear somebody else's party going on, and I can't speak for the sheriff, but I know from experience during my time in Williamsburg in law school, if there was something where the noise was loud, the police didn't come and arrest people. They came and knocked on the door and said, "Turn it down. Don't make us come back." So I think I think the same case, if there's something going on in a house or townhouse in Ben's Grant, the fact that the sheriff can come out and say, "Yeah, that's too loud. Let me go tell them to turn it down," and if they don't, we'll handle it. So.
Yeah, I think part of that discussion will include, seeing what some of the other localities have done, and others. That information will help us as well.
And I will also add that in a number of our subdivisions, they have homeowners associations, and whether they enforce their noise restrictions or not, they have them. I mean, I know that they're, in their restrictive covenants, there are noise covenants. Now, whether or not they're actively enforced, that's a different question, and that's for the citizens of that neighborhood to have a discussion with the other citizens of that neighborhood. So they can be much more restrictive than this county can ever be.
Renee, do you know if some of these complaints came from families that live and or are part of a homeowner association by any chance?
Yes, very specifically in Ben's grant. I don't want to disparage the homeowner association there, but these citizens haven't received much aid from the HOA. You know, you can have an HOA and there's varying degrees of strength, right, and enforcement ability of an HOA. It makes a much larger impact, and I think people would follow the ordinance if we adopt something that's reasonable, that helps the citizens, that the sheriff's department could use as a guideline as well. People would be much more willing to obey those rules. Like I said, that not to disparage the HOA at Ben's Grant, but I understand that they're not enforcing much.
Okay, it might be worth seeing what their HOA has written down too. Any other discussion on this? Okay, we'll put that on the agenda coming up.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Randy?
Chairman, just want to give the board an update on the Windsor vacuum sewer system and what we've done since I first reported on this to the board. Also, I want to clarify about the valves. So just to give a little bit of background, this system was constructed in the 1990s with 4 distinct zones. We call them legs also. And all these zones enter the station separately. Each zone is controlled by a specific valve. We've had a lot of deterioration of the valves, and of course they're in a very hostile environment with the sewer system. And a recent inspection revealed that 3 of the valves were in danger of failing. And the integrity of the valves were in question, so we were worried about trying to utilize the valves and then, cause a bigger problem. So we've determined that some of the inner workings have started to close due to the deterioration of the metal, with the potential to shut the entire plant down for an extensive period of time. So if it was a shutdown, then the only viable way to provide services would be to use vacuum trucks to go around and clean each of the 290 service pods individually on a rotating basis. So you can imagine the difficulty in that. With the layout of the system, like I say, it does have existing valves. The problem was these valves deteriorated, and the way the valves are situated in the plant, it's extremely difficult and almost impossible to remove the valves without having further problems with the system. So the solution that we've come up with is to place new shutoff valves on the exterior of the building. This is what I discussed at the last meeting. And this would allow us better access, we can maintain them better, and these will be new valves with, that don't have the problems of deterioration. So to perform this work, we've done a extensive exterior pipe layout. We don't have very good as-built drawings, so we're going to have to excavate the exterior piping near the building. Once that's completed, there would be a new design developed and implemented. So we've engaged a company. We have an annual services contract with a construction firm. They've come in to provide a cost estimate. Right now, the exploratory work that we need to do to uncover everything and to finish the design is approximately $52,000. So we're going to do this work next week while the weather is cooperative, and we've been keeping Windsor town staff apprised of the situation, but I wanted to let the board know that I think last time I reported to you, we were just in the process of trying to locate someone who could do the work, and so we've started that work. And I also want to clarify about the valves. There are valves in place, but the valves are deteriorated, so we're going to be putting these new valves that will be much more accessible. So far, and I also want to let you know, we feel like some of the main problems for the leaks in the vacuum system the town had a contractor doing some work for water lines, and they were using directional drill. And they nicked the bottom of our pipes in several places, and that has caused the leakage that, and we thought that was the case, but we didn't know where it was. And the town helped us, made us aware of the fact that the contractor had some issues. Contractor since left employment of the town, and we're trying to work on that to receive some compensation back. But we did find several places where they, the directional drill bit had cut the underneath of the pipes, and so that has been repaired, and our pressures have come back up. They're not great yet, but they're better than they were, so we'll continue to work on that.
Would you repeat that? I couldn't quite hear you. The exploratory cost,
About $52,000.
52?
Yes.
So we're going back with the single valve isolation, or we're gonna do,
There'll be a valve on each leg, like it is
leg.
now, but this will be on the exterior of the plant, so we can maintain it better. They're just in such a tight location next to the wall it's almost impossible to get them out of there without doing a lot of damage, and that's one thing we're concerned about, so.
So, if it's possible, would you be able to provide board members, when you get a chance, kind of an overview on the cost of operating this system
Yes.
on an annual basis, some of the estimated costs for replacement, or what y'all anticipate to get it back up to where it should be, whatever that might mean? And then, if it's possible, if there's any revenues associated with this system, if you could provide that to the board members. Do you mind that?
No, I
Just so we can get kind of an overview of how that system works and what the effect is on our, budget and et cetera.
I think that's excellent. And Randy had also mentioned the 290 units and possibly needing to be cleaned or whatever as well.
That is, while we have the system shut down to replace these valves, we will have to have vac trucks to go around and service these pods. Each pod serves 3 to 4 houses, so you have one pod that serves 3 to 4 houses, and then of course you have some pods that just serve like the high school, for example. And then there are some businesses. The system in Windsor is a hybrid system, so we have the vacuum system that serves a lot of the residential area, and then a lot of the businesses have individual pump stations, or they're in a central pump station that feeds directly into the Hampton Road Sanitation District high-pressure line that comes through Windsor.
Because one leg, we did take some people off that one leg when the HRSD, the main line came over there, the pressurized system, correct?
That's right. That's right. And that's what the problem is right now. All of the legs are at or near capacity. So there's very little capacity left on the vacuum system. So the more we can transfer over to and what happens is the vacuum system all comes into the plant, and then it's pumped into the HRSD line. So it all eventually goes to HRSD, but it has to come through these system has to come through the vacuum system first before it's pumped into HRSD.
And if I can ask one more question, is there a routine maintenance plan on those pods, or is it just if something's failing or having a problem, we service it, or how do we maintain that?
Well, the pods don't require, well, I can't say exactly what type of service it is, but they are serviced when they're needed. And we just recently put in a SCADA system that alerts us if there's a pod is malfunctioning. So we have done that with all of the system in the last year. And because before we would have an alarm and we had to go out and try to find which pod it was. And so now we have installed an electronic system that alerts us if a pod is having it's clogged up, grease, or something that's caused a problem.
Okay, thank you. Any other thoughts, comments, Ms. Roundtree?
Not at this time.
Okay. Anything else, Randy?
That's all.
So that
I will forward you this memo
Okay.
tomorrow.
So that takes care of our county administrator's report. We have some unfinished old business before us.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, as we've discussed a number of meetings now, the Virginia Code provides that the board may appoint an individual on an interim basis to fill the vacancy created by Mr. McCarty's untimely death. The statutory requirements only give a 45-day window in which that may occur. That window will expire on the 11th, as it's from the date of the actual vacancy. The statute says that you may appoint an individual, and the only requirement which you have met is that that individual's name be publicly announced at a meeting at least 7 days prior to the appointment, which has been done. So you have met all the statutory requirements to meet the, to make such an interim appointment. I double-checked with Mr. Robertson just to make sure that, but since the announcement of the name last week, from an official standpoint, through any emails or calls into the county, we have received no comments regarding the appointment. So,
All right, do I have a nomination from the board? We have a nomination, but can we go ahead and move to calling for the vote?
well, you have, I would formally move to appoint.
I guess before we do such, would it be appropriate to ask for Mr. DeStefano to step up and we could just
You could
speak to her?
Yes, sir.
You good with just a few minutes, sir?
Absolutely.
If I may, Chairman?
Yes.
I know we haven't had an opportunity to get together since this has been vetted and since Will passed away. And that was somewhat on purpose. When I say that, follow me on this, Will thought a lot of you. And I was very evident in the relationship I had with him. And I'm certain that you're everything that he said you are, and you were very supportive of how he ran things. You were very engaged in the planning commission. We've talked about this before. But I guess I wanted to explain to you is that, to me, I look forward to working with you, number one, and I look forward to getting to know you better. It's been a joy to do that with the other men and women that I've served with on this board. I didn't take the opportunity because I wanted it to be, if it was good enough for Mr. McCarty, who was elected by his constituents like yourself, then it was going to be good enough for me. And I look forward to working with you, by the way, if we take the vote and it passes. But I guess to kind of put that in perspective, because we hadn't had an opportunity, I know you've had an opportunity to meet with others, and I just wanted you to know that if you're good enough for Will, you were definitely good enough for me, and I'm certain that you'll exceed everybody's expectations.
Sure, thank you.
Any other comments from the board members? Ms. Roundtree?
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I guess, did you make a motion? Can I make the motion to approve, to appoint, Mr. DeStefano to fill the vacancy in District 2 on the Board of Supervisors for Allen County?
Okay. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk?
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Acree?
Yes.
Ms. Roundtree?
Yes.
Chairman Rosie?
Yes. So moved. And with that, also just really want to congratulate you. But the board has tried to follow all the laws and protocols, and that's why we've had Bobby at every single meeting go through what the steps are, what we need to do. One thing I emphasized with our board was the fact that we want to do this right. And the circumstances are not circumstances we wanted to see. But I do agree with Mr. Acree. I feel like you are the best choice for the situation. It was a unanimous decision from the board, and we welcome you to our board.
If I may, we also thank you very
Yes.
much for stepping forward. I know that balancing family and work and everything is a challenge for virtually everybody, and I'm certain it's not any different with you. So we thank you so much for willing to step up and serve our citizens with us.
So do we want
Sorry
to
if you don't mind.
pause for a second? And
Come up, take a seat.
yes.
Well, he
No,
you can't
take a
is
seat
not,
yet.
he has not taken his
no.
oath, which I understand he's
Oh,
doing
that's right.
tomorrow. I have confirmed that
I
with the
forgot that
clerk.
element of it. It's been a
Right.
little while.
But we can shake hands and we can have him come forward
Yeah.
tonight. So let's do that, and we can get a little picture with the board too.
All right. Thank you again. Appreciate it. Yeah, sorry it's like this. I've enjoyed serving with you.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Come on around the front. And we'll get
We don't have Renee, but
Yeah.
we'll get another one. We'll get
Yeah.
Renee in the house.
I'll get on this side.
Okay. Come on up here, Mr. Jefferson.
Thank you very much. Just for the citizens' benefit, Bobby, if you would just clarify one more time of what the next steps are before he sits in the seat.
Mr. Stefano is required to take his oath of office, which he will do at the clerk's office, the circuit court clerk's office. That has been arranged, I think, for tomorrow morning. He needs to complete his statement of economic interest, that if he has not received, the clerk had it with her. I don't know if she's passed it to him yet or not, but it is here tonight to give to him, and once he does that, he will then have qualified for the interim seat, and he will participate in your next regular meeting, or if there's something between now and then.
Would it be appropriate to provide him with a list of vacancies for
Yes.
any days for District 2 for commissions, et cetera?
We'll give him,
Just so you have some time to contemplate
in
those.
fact, we have that list here tonight, so.
And if you don't mind, just a little clarification too on what happens between now and the next election.
So Mr. DeStefano is filling the interim appointment until the special election, which has been called to fill the seat, which will be handled at the same time as the general election in November. And upon whatever candidate is successful in that election, upon the election results being certified, that person then will take over that seat and will serve the balance of Mr. McCarty's term, which I believe is December of 2027.
Thank you very much. Next, we have some new business. We had the addition of adults with special needs, I believe, Mr. Acree.
Yeah, my understanding is that they've worked on their bylaws and have concluded them. I was talking to some of the members on that. Mr. Jones?
I had not been made aware of that. I can get with Mr. Prickney's to get him to provide those to me, because that's who I'd been coordinating with earlier. And we'll just have that on your March 20th agenda if they're ready for, if they've approved the edits that were made. There was, part of it was, I mean, one of it was a very small item, but it was an important item, which was their time for meeting and the audit committees were butting up against each other and caused a conflict, and I think they worked that out. And so, but I'll see that we get those before you so we can get those adopted.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I had not been made aware that they had been finalized.
Chairman Rosie, when it's appropriate, if I may make a
Yes.
just comment about the audit committee,
Yes.
since you just mentioned it, it's pertinent to note that our regular scheduled audit committees are typically the first Monday of the month. Because of business travel, I did move it to the 10th. In the interim between the last time, so it'll be Monday, our audit committee. In the interim from the last time that I kind of brought this topic up to the full board and promised to report, staff as well as myself did meet with the treasurer. So, you know, we have some updates on that, and Ms. Sly is also going to attend our audit committee. She's confirmed that she's going to attend the audit committee meeting on the 10th. So I hope on the 20th to have a full report for you guys on the activities of the audit committee then.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any comments before we adjourn?
Two more items.
Yes, sir.
We had two other items on the new business.
Let me turn
Yeah.
my sheet over.
We just have a couple of budget amendments that are time sensitive. Some we were already incurring some expenses. These were on the agenda for the last meeting, but it got bumped to March 20th. So if we can take care of these. One is a Circuit Court Records Preservation Grant, and it's $40,744. And these are funds we received from the state to preserve some of the older records in the clerk's office. And the second one is a budget for home grant funds. And these are funds that we receive in a consortium with Suffolk, and these are doing home repairs for low-income residents. And the total amount of this is $323,804. Neither of these include any county funds. These are all, 100% grant funds, and so there's no county match required.
Sort of a pass-through.
Yes, we receive the funds and we perform the services, and then, of course, there's reported requirements for that.
Mr. Keaton, on the budget amendment for the home grant funds, could you, I don't know if you can do it right tonight or not, but could we share with the public how they can access
Sure.
these funds?
Yeah, Ms. Ring is here tonight, so she's nodding her head, and we do have I don't know if do you want to just give a brief explanation of how that works, or we can give you right now?
And I was speaking to a young man this morning who asked that we not keep you here too late this evening.
Oh.
It was about 6 or 7 o'clock this morning.
So real quick, home grant funds are, the purpose of the home grant funds are for the repair or complete rehabilitation of houses that don't meet code. You can also use them for first-time home buyers assistance. So the county receives a portion of an allocation from the Department of Housing and Community Development every single year. In the last 3 years, it's been running about between $65,000 and $75,000 a year. So we can accumulate those over a period of years and spend them on one of those 3 programs. For example, we are rehabilitating a home right now for a senior lady, and it's going to run us about $190,000 to do everything because her house was in such bad repair, the whole house didn't meet code. So the rules are that if you go into a home for a repair and the home, depending on how many things are wrong with it, everything has to meet code. So in her situation, her whole house needed to be redone. So we tore it down and we started from scratch. So it also included a well and a new septic system because both of those were failing. So the whole cost of that was $190,000. So that's part of the $323,000 that you guys voted on tonight or will vote on tonight. And then we also have several people who have applied for first-time home buyers assistance. And that is a program where you can apply. You have to be a first-time home buyer, can't have bought a house before. You have to qualify under the income guidelines. And then the state or our grant funds will help you, give you funds for that down payment for your first home. And so
the income guidelines, I mean, what's the threshold for that? If you're single or married, I mean.
So I think it's total household income, and it can't be any more than, I think, between 80 and 120% of the median area income. And that you have to go through a qualifying process just like you would a mortgage.
Okay.
And the Hampton Roads Planning District Commission is the one that administers that particular grant for us. So we have that link on our website. So if you go to the county's website and you search for first-time home buyers assistance, it'll send you to that website where you could go to the Hampton Roads Planning District program's contact information and apply through them.
Mm-hmm.
And
And they give updates at the planning district, because I know Mr. Akery has been there with me about the program and the success of that. And these are working adults that just need that help with the down payment and closing cost assistance. A lot of times they're teachers or firefighters or folks working at bank tellers. One of the problems we have sometimes is the home prices here are higher. It's more difficult for first-time home buyers to find a house that they can qualify for, even with the closing cost assistance. So we get one every once in a while, but it's a little more rare for us. But like I said, the Planning District Commission helps us. They do the marketing for that. They work with agents and mortgage brokers. When they find someone that qualifies, then they can direct them to that program as well.
Well, we used to administer that program years ago, didn't we?
The first-time home buyers assistance program?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I've been here since 2006, and I'm not aware of us administering that particular piece of the program. However, we have always, in one form or another, been doing the home rehabilitation and repair
I
program.
thought when Ann Sue was here, it was transferred from Isle of White
It
to
may
Suffolk
have.
area.
That's section 8.
Oh, okay.
Section 8.
Yep,
Eight. Okay,
The
okay.
home buyer assistance, that's run through the HR PDC.
Okay.
And I would say, just add that whether it's the rehabilitation program or the first-time home buyer program, the first-time home buyer, they have to secure their mortgage. They just are getting the assistance for the down payment, $25,000, whatever it is. And that is secured with a deed of trust and a note, but it is forgiven over a 10-year period. A tenth of it goes away every year that they live in there. If they were to sell their house in year 3, they have to pay that money back. If they stay for the full 10 years, that loan is forgiven. The same with the rehabilitation. Now, the payback window is longer, where you have to stay there longer if you're getting $190,000 as opposed to $25,000 as a down payment. But that's, and all of those are run through whatever agency is doing it, but they come through my office for that legal part of it. And I think we've done one or two down payments this year through that program, and the one off of, I think it was Bowling Green.
Yes.
That we did last year, or
Right.
this fiscal year.
Right.
So a program, just use the one, the substantial program that you just spoke of, and say someone passes, when the estate is settled, does that amount of money go back if it's within that window of time?
So yes, it is prorated, as I understand it, from a year. So let's say the homeowner passes in year 4, then the remaining 6, or I think it's 15 year for
I
that
think it's
particular
15 for
program.
that.
Then they have to pay back whatever's left on that particular.
But it would be, but it wouldn't just be the death of that person, it would be the conveyance of that property, you know.
Right. I'll just use that example.
So there is some caveats in the program that if you would like to lease out the property to somebody, that person just has to meet the income guidelines and you don't have to pay it back. It just has to be affordable for that 15-year period, and whoever's living there has to meet those income guidelines in order to still qualify for the program.
Very good.
But if you sell it and it goes to, say, market rate housing, then you'd have to pay back whatever the difference was.
Okay. Any other, Don?
Excuse me. I was just going to point out, I think, Mr. Jefferson, you might be recalling that at a point several years ago, we did have a partnership with the STOP organization, but that was for some of the rehab and those programs, not the home ownership program.
Okay.
That might be what you're thinking about.
I remember we,
Right.
Okay.
And in order to contact the program for the home rehabilitation and repair grant, you would actually contact the Community Development Office, and that's available on the website as well. I will tell you that because of the limited funds that are available for that program, it is kind of first come, first serve. So one project might be only $35,000, but then you might have another one that's a complete rebuild that's, several $100,000.
okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, can I get a recommendation? For A, then
So
B.
you have 2 budget amendments before you that need to be acted on.
Start with A.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution to amend the budget and appropriate funding for the Virginia Circuit Court Records Preservation Program and increase the FY 2024-25 grant fund revenue and expenditure budget by the same amount.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Akery?
Yes.
Ms. Roundtree?
Yes.
Chairman Rosie?
Yes, so moved. Okay,
Chairman Rosie, we could have probably mentioned it earlier, but I know this is a work session. We usually don't take actions on work sessions, but as I hope everybody could see looking at our agenda tonight, the actions that we've taken tonight are because they were the necessity because of the cancellation of our last meeting. Would we all agree to that?
yes.
Second resolution, second.
Yeah, the second one.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution to amend the budget and appropriate the funds for the grant fund budget for FY 24-25.
Okay. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk?
Mr. Jefferson,
Yes.
Mr. Acree,
Yes.
Ms. Roundtree,
Yes.
Chairman Rosie.
Yes. So moved.
Closed meeting.
And we will go to closed meeting.
So, Mr. Chairman, pursuant to Section 2.23711A of the Code of Virginia, you need a motion to move to closed session for the limited purpose of consultation with legal counsel employed by the board regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel, namely eminent domain issues related to a utility project pursuant to subsection 8, discussion regarding the appointment of the county administrator and the county attorney pursuant to subsection 1, and number 3, a discussion regarding the negotiation of the sale of county real property in the Carrollton area where a discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the board pursuant to subsection 3.
Need to close session?
Need to vote.
Oh, we have to vote? Darn.
So move.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Jefferson,
Yes.
Mr. Acree,
Yes.
Ms. Roundtree,
Yes.
Chairman Rosie.
Yes, so moved.
Mr. Jefferson,
Yes.
Mr. Acree,
Yes.
Ms. Roundtree,
Yes.
Chairman Rosie.
Yes, so moved. Any last comments, gentlemen? Ms. Roundtree? Means adjourned.
All right.